I don't know if it's true or not, but it sure seems like I'm always talking these Chairs Corner things about engagement, building engagement in the Tillamook County Democratic Party, and that may not be of much interest to almost anyone except me, but it's on my mind a lot. And it's, particularly important for this upcoming Central Committee meeting because we need to do some endorsements so that we can get our slate card all lined up and dot all our I's and cross all our T's. And for that, we need high turnout. We have to have at least 50% of the PCPs in the county show up so that we meet our endorsement quorum, which is a new thing for Tillamook County Democrats. And so I've been talking to a bunch of party leaders about whether we've got enough meaningful decisions for PCPs to make on the agenda to actually convince people to show up. And that's always a fine line because if we put too many meaningful decisions on the agenda, it could just take forever to get through it. And it also kind of gives people the impression that that's where the real work of the party happens, which is not the case. The real work of the party happens in small groups, in committees, which is really much better, much more satisfying and engaging for, I think, everybody to be working in these small groups, where decisions kind of get made in this collaborative process. You kind of work shoulder to shoulder, and then the results of those decisions kind of bubble up to the central committee level. We have these big meetings. I guess different counties, probably different sizes, but I got started with the Democratic Party work in Multnomah County, where the central committee meetings are just real big and raucous, and sometimes just it's a real struggle. Used to be a real struggle for me to convince myself to go to those things. I just found them really kind of unpleasant. But anyway, I was going to say, often what's happening in those meetings is it feels like we're just being asked to rubber stamp decisions that were made elsewhere. And that's frustrating in a certain way, but as you begin to kind of get involved with the party, you kind of begin to understand why that's actually kind of a good thing, because we can't work effectively in these great big groups, and it's not satisfying. It's not, there's conflict that happens, when people don't spend time to get to know each other. And it's just not rewarding. You've worked in big, or you've been to big meetings, I suspect, that felt dysfunctional, and that's just the thing. With big meetings, you can't really make good decisions in that kind of context. Can't get work done. So giving people an incentive to show up for a big meeting where we have to have enough people to meet a quorum requirement so that we get our endorsements done is sometimes quite a trick. If we have a really engaging speaker, somebody that really people want to hear, sometimes that'll do it. But for the most part, we kind of have to just appeal to everyone's sense of responsibility and their general maturity and understanding that sometimes we have to get together in these big groups that feel kind of dysfunctional and get some things done that feel like rubber stamping. And hopefully keep these things short. That's kind of part of what we've been working on here recently. It caused me, the process we're going through, it's been causing me to think about what it was like for me when I first started getting involved with the Democratic Party, which would have been 2009 or so. It happened. It began to happen. I was at a funeral, a memorial service, and just chatting with this guy I didn't really know afterwards. Memorial service for a mutual friend of ours, and he just mentioned, I guess we were talking about politics or something like that, and he mentioned that he was the district leader for the Democratic Party in my neighborhood, which is kind of a coincidence. I think I probably said, yeah, someday I'd like to, do something for the Democratic Party. He said, well, I need some people to deliver slate cards. Some kind of election was coming up. And I said, well, I could probably do that for you. So I showed up at a meeting, small meeting. I was surprised at how small it was, and did some slate card delivering. My son and a couple of his friends, and we kind of did that kind of stuff together in our neighborhood. And then when I moved across the river a year or so later, I found that rewarding enough that I kind of wanted to keep at it. So I tried to get in touch with who the district leader was across the river, and he wanted me to get appointed as PCP. So I went to my first central committee meeting, which was a big, loud thing where I just felt like I wanted to just turn around and run. If that had been my initial introduction to the party, I'm sure I would not have stayed. And of course, they had me stand up and do what I normally do with new PCPs who are going to be appointed. They asked me, what my history was with the Democratic Party and why I wanted to, why I was a Democrat. I think all I said was, I've always loved the Democratic Party. That's something like that. Not very articulate. But I don't think I've ever just felt a sense of responsibility to cause me to answer a call that was made, to a big group of people. Anytime I'm in a big group of people and somebody says, we need people to do this or that or something like that, I'm never one to raise my hand. I always figure, I look around the room and I see all these people who seem to know more about what's going on than I do, and more engaged and more opinionated. And I just figure one of those people will do it. I'm not for that. So the way it's always happened for me is some individual person will, spot me and come over and grab me and say, we need some help doing this. These people and I, we have to get this done. You look like you might be, would you help us, just for the next week, we have to work on some project together. That's happened kind of over and over again. And so over time, gotten more involved, and now, spend a lot of time doing Democratic Party, but way more time doing it than I would want my wife to know, actually. But that's kind of what I recommend. You want to get somebody involved, ask them one-on-one. Don't just ask a big group of people, because really the people that you want to step up and help, they don't think of themselves as being all that useful or somebody that you would want. They will look around the room and think, oh, well, that guy over there is definitely better suited to this work than I am. I'm not, they don't want me. But sometimes you need to just reach out and grab that guy who's looking around the room like that. And that one-on-one appeal, it's going to work a whole lot better in my experience. And getting those people involved in small groups is really the only way to do it. It's the only way to hang on to people. And, sometimes you have to kind of twist their arms and get them to go to a big meeting and just go vote, rubber stamp these things. We got to get this, got to get our endorsements done, like Tillman County Democrats have to do this week. And, I've got to go to a meeting in Roseburg this weekend. Mary and I do, but I'm just dreading this big state central committee meeting. Most of these people I've known for a long time, and I like the people, and actually I'm looking forward to some of the there's like a small training session the day before the business meeting that I need to be in. I recognize I need the training, and I like the people, and so that'll be good. But sitting in the business meeting and voting on resolutions, if I get anybody else to do this, much prefer that. But sometimes I do feel a sense of responsibility, so I guess I will do it. Don't know what that was worth. It's on my mind today.